24/7, I'm Aaron Dean. President Biden's son Hunter has agreed to a plea deal that will likely allow him to avoid any jail time on tax and gun charges. It's a deal that spawned immediate reaction from critics of the Biden family. The Advocate Channel's Mike Valero has the latest.
Hunter Biden, the son of President Joe Biden, will plead guilty to 2 misdemeanor tax offenses and struck a deal with federal prosecutors to resolve a felony gun charge. According to prosecutors, Hunter Biden owed at least $100,000 in federal taxes in both 2017 and 2018, but did not pay what was due to the IRS by the deadlines. Last year, a lawyer for the president's son said his client has since, quote, fully paid those IRS debts. The 53-year-old also struck a deal with federal prosecutors to resolve 1 felony gun charge. In 2021 interviews with the media, Hunter Biden talked about how he'd been addicted to drugs, which raised the possibility he broke federal law when he bought a firearm. The White House issued a statement saying, quote, the president and first lady love their son and support him as he continues to rebuild his life. We will have no further comment. Former President Donald Trump slammed the plea deal. Writing on Truth Social, it equates to a mere traffic ticket. The U.S. Attorney for Delaware, David Weiss, appointed by former President Trump, says the Hunter Biden investigation is ongoing. Republican Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy says the agreement won't impact a Republican congressional probe into the Biden family's business dealings.
It actually should enhance our investigations because the DOJ should not be able to withhold any information now.
I'm Mike Valerio reporting.
The trial into Trump's alleged mishandling of classified documents is now set for mid-August, and it will happen in Florida. The date could be pushed back because of the case's complexities and possible issues related to classified information. Trump is charged with 37 counts of mishandling top secret documents after he left office and for obstructing the investigation into those documents. Juneteenth might seem like a new holiday to some, but it's been celebrated for many decades. Cities across the country mark the occasion with parades and concerts. The Advocate Channel's Jen Sullivan looks at the highlights of the festivities across the country and the historic significance behind the holiday.
Cities across the country celebrating Juneteenth, a federal holiday marking the end of slavery. One of the nation's largest parades held in Philadelphia. Marches bringing people together in Denver.
It makes you see that it's not just you, you're not alone.
And in Washington, D.C., festivals lined the streets.
This holiday is about celebrating freedom from slavery. As hard as that is to even say, that's the reality.
While cities are filled with colorful celebrations this holiday, the road to end slavery was a much darker time in American history. In 1863, President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, ending slavery in the U.S. But news of liberation slowly spread across the South. It took more than 2 years for the news to reach the final enslaved group in Galveston, Texas. That day was June 19, 1865, 158 years ago.
The country, the nation, the government had people in bondage. It was ugly. But now is a time that we can show the world that America doesn't stay in bondage, that it actually comes forth.
Monday, the city of Galveston marking the birthplace of what is now Juneteenth, a day of liberation now celebrated across the country.
To celebrate one of our nation's founding principles, the principle of freedom.
I'm Jen Sullivan reporting.
As you just saw, Juneteenth and Father's Day are supposed to be times of celebration, but it was another holiday weekend in America marred by gun violence. At least 1 teenager is dead and 9 others were injured in St. Louis after gunfire at a party. In Illinois, at least 22 people were hurt and 1 is dead after a shooting at a Juneteenth celebration. Outside of Seattle, 2 are dead and 2 victims were wounded after a suspect opened fire at a festival campground. Near Atlanta, at least 5 people are hurt after police say a dispute resulted in gunfire at a nightclub. And close to LA, 8 people were injured after a shooting around midnight Saturday. According to the Gun Violence Archive, there have been 318 mass shootings so far this year. And the White House says that it's in contact with state and local leaders following the deadly shooting in Illinois at a Juneteenth celebration. The White House press secretary tweeted, "The president and first lady are thinking of those killed and injured in the shooting in Illinois last night. We have reached out to offer assistance to state and local leaders in the wake of this tragedy at a community Juneteenth celebration." Police in Austria say that they prevented an attack on Vienna's annual Pride parade, arresting 3 suspects with alleged links to Islamic extremism. Austria's Cobra Special Forces arrested the trio ahead of the parade during raids in which they seized banned weapons. The state police president said, quote, "For the LGBTQ community, many Islamic as well as right-wing extremists represent an intense enemy, which is clear from the violent crimes that they have been committing during events in the past across the world as well as in Europe." WNBA star Brittany Greiner had an emotional reunion with the people who helped secure her release from a Russian prison. Greiner met with the members of the national security team in Washington, D.C. She was initially detained in February of last year. A Russian court found her guilty of drug possession and later sentenced her to 9 years in prison. The Biden administration worked out a prisoner swap in December for a Russian arms dealer. The reunion came after Greiner's team, the Phoenix Mercury, played the Washington Mystics in D.C. Airlines are bouncing back after severe storms wreaked havoc on flights during the busy holiday weekend. And one travel expert cautions that more significant disruptions could be looming as millions of Americans prepare to hit the skies this summer.
Airlines are recovering this week after weekend storms caused extensive delays and cancellations across the country, and travel experts say more disruptions are on the horizon as summer travel ramps up.
Airlines have not been holding themselves in glory over the past few years.
With this increased demand this summer, air travel disruptions are likely to become more frequent. So what can you do when dealing with delays and cancellations?
When you get that schedule change notification, don't view it as a negative. View it as an opportunity to get switched to a better flight without having to pay anything out of pocket.
Travel expert Scott Keyes recommends requesting compensation. In certain circumstances, if your flight is canceled or delayed for a significant amount of time, you may be entitled to compensation. Check your airline's policies. 2, you can request a rebooking. If your flight is canceled, some airlines can rebook your flight at no additional charge or give you a refund for the unused portion of your ticket.
They would prefer you didn't take that refund, and so instead what they typically are willing to do is to switch you to any other flight.
3, you have the right to information. Airlines should provide you with timely updates and alternative options. And 4, consider requesting a reimbursement. If your flight is significantly affected, airlines can sometimes reimburse you for meals, transportation, and hotel accommodation. For Consumer Watch, I'm Patrick Cornell.
The price of orange juice will be going up, again. Florida farmers produced the smallest citrus crop in nearly a century. It was a tough year for the state's orange trees, which were hit by bad weather and an epidemic of disease. And those who are able to afford a gallon of juice might notice that it doesn't taste as sweet. That's because nearly all of Florida's groves were hit by the greening disease, which causes the fruit to be bitter. Brazil is also a major producer of oranges, but was also affected by bad weather. Housing starts were expected to slightly decline, but instead, construction climbed nearly 22% from the previous month. That's the fastest pace in more than a year. Low inventory in the existing home market has continued to boost interest in new home builds. The number of single-family units rose in May to 1.63 million. That's above expectations of 1.40 million. And thanks for joining us for AC 24/7. For more, go to theadvocatechannel.com and subscribe on the Advocate Channel YouTube page. For AC 24/7, I'm Aaron Dean.